For those of you from other parts of the country, this is what the beginning of Las Vegas fall looks like. And yeah, if you're saying to yourself, it's just summer light, congrats, you're now a local. And as a local, you came to the right place to keep up with the news. Today on CityCast Las Vegas, I'm joined by Man About Town artist Brent Holmes and CityCast's own newsletter editor Rob Katcheries, and we're talking about Blake Lively getting a lesson in Nevada law from Perez Hilton, why the company behind the Tesla tunnels is building housing, and speaking of houses, the latest on the famous underground one right here in our city. It's Friday, September 5th. I'm David Figler, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Welcome, Rob and Brent, to the Friday News Roundup.
Happy Friday, y'all.
Hey, David. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Brent, have you done the News Roundup with us before?
I think I have once upon a time, but it's been quite some time.
Well, welcome back, sir.
I think you did it with me while I was on.
Yeah, I believe so.
Look at that. Look at that. Let's move on to the stories of the week that we picked for everybody. First off, Blake Lively has some sort of major litigation still going on, and somehow it brought in Las Vegan Perez Hilton. Rob, explain this.
Yes, this kind of sounds like a national entertainment news headline, and it is, but also has a very strong Las Vegas hook to it. It's very much a local story, too. So if you've been paying attention to all this, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni have been embroiled in a legal battle over their film, It Ends With Us. I don't know how many people saw that movie. I think more people know about the story behind the scenes than what happened on screen. But the very short version is that Blake accused Justin, I'm going to use their first names like I know them. Blake accused Justin of a hostile workplace and sexual harassment on the set. And Justin, in turn, sued Blake for defamation. And it looks like Justin's team has been involved in a pretty intense smear campaign against Blake. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. The New York Times has some coverage on it, but that's the allegation. So as Blake is fighting back against the smear campaign, she attempted to subpoena celebrity gossip blogger Perez Hilton. Now, we know Perez Hilton. He lives here in Las Vegas. He's been on the podcast before. We see him around town. So he's very much a local figure. But Blake Lively's legal team subpoenaed him in order to get access to his communications. They wanted to prove that Perez was part of this smear campaign that allegedly is taking place on behalf of Justin Baldoni. Citing specific examples in her court documents, Blake Lively's team said Perez Hilton's videos, which appear online, mock her with names like Blackface Blake, Lying Lively, Litigious Lively, and they argue that Perez has published over 500 pieces of disparaging video content about her, which sounds like a lot, even for someone whose business is based on content generation. So the case that played out in Las Vegas centers on whether or not Perez is a journalist, and if his work is considered fair commentary, or if it's simply defamatory speech. So on Tuesday, Perez came out of the courtroom declaring a win against Lively. Essentially, if she's able to get access to his communications, her team isn't going to have an easy time of it. The judge ruled more or less in Perez's favor, requiring quotes from 3 forensic experts and a paralegal by Monday, and forcing Blake Lively's team to pay for compiling the privilege logs. And David, you know what a privilege log is, right?
I do.
Yes, the list of communications that Perez is refusing to turn over to Blake's team, and that could take weeks or months. So I don't know if Perez won the war, but he definitely won the battle now, the legal battle for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, just to pipe in as a lawyer here, because I can't help myself. He did win a small victory with regard to whether or not New York has jurisdiction over him to give up all this stuff, but he's still kind of battling with the judge here in Nevada, Judge Boulware, as to what he does need to turn over, whether it's in camera or not, meaning if the judge gets to see this privilege log, et cetera. But in this particular case, is this the kind of journalism that we need to be protecting under Shield law? Another is gossip columning and opinionating about this stuff. Should it be protected? What do you think, Brent?
I mean, I still am asking the question as to whether or not Perez Hilton is a journalist. I think it's a little bit up in the air. I tend to think that gossip columnists and you know, media influencers live in this quasi-journalistic state. I am a big fan of freedom of speech, and I certainly believe people should be able to make comment about what is going on. But this does, weirdly to me, just sound like he's campaigning for someone. And that's a little tricky, right? Even from a journalistic standpoint, you can't just get in somebody's corner and start, shooting your shot and then expect people to say that it's credible or fair to do that. Especially if you're coming from a place of celebrity or authority like Perez Hilton is.
Well, Rob, you often hear in this kind of like gossipy journalism, my sources tell me and stuff like that. And what they're trying to get to is literally the sources here. That's what the shield is for. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, you're right, because sometimes the sources say are just kind of an excuse to report stuff that's not verified. Like, oh, I've been hearing things, or people close to the situation say this and that, which is a whole different thing. But, you have this Nevada Shield law, which protects journalists, but also you just have, as Brent said, a commitment to freedom of speech in this country. And whether you're a journalist or a blogger or just somebody online, if you're just making commentary, if you're just talking about a current event or something that's generating headlines in the news, do you have a right to say that without being dragged into a legal battle or being dragged into legal prosecution? I mean, it's a very thin line, but I think all things equal, you have to kind of come down on the side of freedom of speech. It's guaranteed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the things that Perez Hilton is doing here is representing himself. But now there is some discussion, I think, in the court as whether or not he should be appointed an attorney, because this does get very expensive, especially for independent or freelance journalists.
And Perez does say he's paying for this out of pocket.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's doing it himself right now, so he's paying himself.
There's no GoFundMe yet.
Yeah, but, I guess it begs the question, what is the currency of gossip, especially in a place like Las Vegas? I mean, how valuable is it for our community? And is there a line? Oh, this is like a multi-part question. And what's the line for when it is or isn't news?
Wow, I mean, that's hard.
You answer any part of that question.
Well, I mean, when it is or isn't news, it's news if anyone's interested in it. It's news if it's new information or relevant information. Whether or not it's, good news or well thought out news or good journalism is a bigger question, right? But
you do get eyes and you do get hits. I mean, I'm thinking here in Las Vegas, whenever we see a story about Bruno Mars and his alleged gambling addiction and debts, or Celine Dion and her health, or whatever, it becomes sort of a big hit for the writer, the celebrity gossip journalist.
Well, I mean, it's journalistic low-hanging fruit. It can fall within the realm of hearsay and conjecture. And it certainly moves eyes, right? So there's always going to be somebody going for a headline like that, whether they're real or not.
Yeah, here's a good example, too, that just happened. So leading up to Labor Day, President Trump disappeared, more or less, at least for him. And all this chatter was online about, oh, maybe he's dead, maybe he has health problems. And J.D. Vance came out and attacked the media for running with this. The media didn't really run with this, other than reporting maybe what people are saying online. But this was really stuff that was, quote unquote, reported on social media channels between people who aren't journalists or even bloggers at all, just, kind of speculation and running wild, which is what social media does. And then, you see this and you're kind of like, well, these non-truths are being attached to, quote unquote, the media, when the media really wasn't reporting on this at all. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like the new version of gossip, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, discourse, gossip, news.
Published gossip, yeah.
It's all very, very blurry, but here we are in a Nevada courtroom with Perez Hilton. Interesting. All right. Next topic. The Boring Company.
Again?
Yeah, I know. Like the story that never grows old. But here's a new twist.
And never grows. Yeah.
Here's a new twist. They are building some manner of station across the street from Virgin over on Paradise. They've been constructing there for a really long time. And then not terribly long ago, it was announced. And this week it was confirmed that they are going to be building multifamily housing units on top of the station, basically. It's a 6-story planned 132 unit apartment building right there on Paradise. They say there's going to be a bodega on the ground level, drive-through coffee shop, a bar and a lounge, and all that's only going to be open to the building's residents. They're going to have a gym and a courtyard. It's going to be the most beautiful top of a tunnel ever. And it went through basically an approval over at the county commission. But what was really interesting about this and why the story kind of takes on some new twists is that the Boring Company asked the county if they would waive the requirement to have all the parking that is normally necessary for an apartment complex or a condo complex. And in a space like this, there would have been 189 spots required. And they were able to reduce that number by almost 90%. So they're only going to have 24 parking spots there, probably just for the workers.
What is this, a stadium?
No, but you have 132 units. You're going to have commensurate parking under county code, but they're waiving that county code. And this is kind of a sea change as far as the car culture in Las Vegas is going. And so this might be a very interesting precedent. But before we get to that question, I just want to ask you guys, why is Boring Company, which is a digging / transit, and I'm going to put that in quotation marks because right now it's just one-way tunnels with a guy in a car driving a couple of people at a time. But why do you think that the Boring Company wants to get involved in housing now? Do you have a speculation on that, Brent?
I mean, I kind of think and this is of course speculation, like you said, David, but I think there's a really obvious thing here that the intention here is to remove the automobile, right? Is to have automated cars. That's why you're asking for a lowered parking space area, right? A lowered parking garage amount. The goal is to have these tunnels connect directly to this apartment complex, and people will take, self-driving vehicles back and forth to their daily tasks. Is that realistic? Maybe. Is that cool? I don't know. And they're getting into housing because everybody's in housing, baby. Real estate is real estate, girl.
In this town?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's lucrative or not, but...
Well, Clark County has a just say yes mentality, it seems, to everything. And we've seen this, whether it's Allegiant Stadium, whether it's T-Mobile Arena, whether it's the upcoming baseball stadium or the Sphere, that you have new attractions that are allowed to be built without parking spaces or parking garages to cover all the traffic that's going in and out. And now we're starting to see this with a residential property for the first time. And I don't know, is Elon Musk of the Boring Company billing this as an attraction, as something new? And it's not like we're New York, where the subway is running everywhere. You can get to everywhere you need to go with one public transportation system. And I know I'm being generous in calling these Tesla tunnels a public transportation system, but they're barely established now. I mean, if this travels to my home and I'm using that as my primary mode of transportation, where am I going to go? The convention center? Resorts World? I mean, the Tesla tunnels are not going to Smith's. Okay, so they're not going to Walmart, at least not yet. And if they do, it's not going to be for a while. I think this is very sketchy. I think they're trying to get around something, and it's just going to turn into a glorified property where it's ride shares coming and going and congesting the front gates and making it a mess for everybody who lives there. That's my prediction.
Well, I did watch the meeting, and it was really touted as something completely new for Vegas, which I think maybe was an oversell. I mean, what's new is the lack of parking, but they also said, look, this is, really close to a lot of transit. They overpumped the impact of the Tesla tunnels, but correctly, they pointed out that this is on a bus line. You're close to the BRT, the upgrade from the Regional Transportation Commission. You're walking distance, more or less, from UNLV. Maybe because the tunnels themselves aren't particularly profitable or lucrative, they're just sort of expanding their portfolio and getting into housing, and it's a good look for them too.
I think you have to establish the transportation system first. Las Vegas does not have public transportation ingrained into its common culture. We're just not that kind of town. We're not New York. We're not Chicago. Establish it first and then go, okay, maybe this does make sense where we have a building that doesn't need the parking spaces because society at large is not using them. It's not using cars as much as it used to be. We're far from that.
Well, I am as big a hold accountable cynic critic of the Boring Company's project in Las Vegas as maybe anybody.
Really? You?
But I'm wondering if this housing project, and we don't know how much they're going to be going for. We don't know if this is anything close to affordable for any regular human being or not. But is this project perhaps, Brent Holmes, actually sneakily somehow a good idea for Las Vegas to sort of get us weaned off of cars and start thinking about the way our roads look in different ways?
The world of Musk and his ability to ignore the fact that trains exist and the tech world in general to try and reinvent public transit and innovate in ways that, have been established in countries all over the world for decades now, it never ceases to amaze me. It just feels like another kind of glorified jump into perceived innovation. And I'm almost 100% sure anybody that's willing to live there will be well out of the normal human being's tax bracket.
Yikes. Well, I will say this, and you could quote me on it, that David Figler said something very nice about this Boring Company project.
Take notes.
Is that I do think it sets a good precedent for thinking about transit-oriented development. In other words, we have now broken the mold. We have the county commission on record saying, we think this is innovative and a good idea to start planning housing and other accessible areas around where our transit systems are and can be expanded. And so when you're building new projects, houses without parking spots suggest that things like drive-throughs and spaces that you just drive to and only to drive to leave immediately are possibly archaic, and that we should be a lot more innovative in our city the way that we do start to get people ingrained into more public transit or mass transit type of options. I think it's a good precedent. Let's see if it takes hold in other parts of the city.
All right, David, I'm going to share your optimism just a little bit because we've talked about Midtown, for example. And one of the things they want to do is introduce a shared Tesla car system that residents would share. So maybe you're tapping into something where we don't all have to have our own car, and maybe we can
that's
get
what
a
I'm
little
saying.
bit closer to public transportation.
But I don't think it has to be Teslas, by the way.
Agreed.
Let's maybe separate the wheat from the chaff?
Can we just have light rail? Can we have light rail?
There we go. Cut to the
like a
chase,
train.
yes.
Can we have a train?
Yes.
No, that's what I'm saying, Brent, is I think that, decisions like this down the line, whatever skeevy reasons you want to assign to someone who you do not trust, I think the precedent for being able to have better, more comprehensive conversations about mass transit like light rail are likely to happen when you start seeing decisions like this.
Elon Musk is responsible for Las Vegas getting its public transit act together and us becoming a more walkable city, it will be the first truly useful thing he's ever done in this nation.
And it's really kind of by accident. It's probably just, hey, we just need to make some money on these sites that we bought, and housing seems to be the best way to do it, not even thinking about how it's going to impact everything else. One final note, the county did put on a condition that says that if the loop never opens over there, they have to go back to the old scheme, and we'd have to have all that parking there again.
So what are you going to do, tear down the CVS they build next door and put the parking back in?
I don't know, man, but it's definitely an interesting development and one I'm glad we're following. All right, let's move on to the third topic. The underground house, the famous and notorious house that it was built in a bunker. It's really wacky and crazy down there, but it's back for sale again. Brent, tell us about the underground house and this new sale.
Well, it's kind of an incredible reactionary bunker built just after the Cuban Missile Crisis by Avon CEO Jerry Henderson in 1978. And it's been around.
Avon Calling.
Yeah. Avon Calling Cosmetics. Yeah. America's first great Anglo cosmetic corporation.
Door-to-door sales, right?
Door-to-door sales. And that kind of like roping in your neighbor semi-pyramid scheme thing going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's an incredible piece of architecture. Not only is it a bunker, but it's a bunker designed to, keep you from getting too depressed as you realize all of humanity is dying of radiation poisoning or has been burned up in a nuclear fire.
At least be comfortable.
It's decorated. It has a full swimming pool. It has, fake grass and even a small putting green because why not golf through the apocalypse? It's, the first true creepy billionaire hideout and it's been around in Las Vegas and it's exchanged hands quite a few times and it's up for sale for $8.5 million right now. And which is interesting because it cost $10 million to build in 1978. So it's actually kind of a steal. The value of the property's actually gone down.
It's a steal if you're a mole man.
If you're a mole man, I mean, it is not to be reductive, but it is high kitsch in its design. And
it's a simulation of above ground home.
Yes.
But it's completely a bunkered underground space. And it's big.
It's massive. And it actually comes underneath another 2-bedroom house. So you get the upstairs and then downstairs is kind of this massive kitsch factory. It's very elegant. It's almost lurid in its styling. It's all like kind of late 70s inspired architecture and design. And it's perfect for someone that loves mid-century modern stuff and also, wants to hide from the climate apocalypse. So, it's up for sale. And it's
15,000 square feet of what?
Lately, this home has been used mainly as an event space where people can rent it out and have parties and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think that could carry on through it. But here's my personal is I would love to see the folks over at the Neon Museum and the Las Vegas Museum of Art and a collaborative group of arts organizations come in and become conservators for this so that we can have this not just as a event space or an activated space, but also as a dialogue about historical aesthetics and, the way Las Vegas like a cruise design, right? Because it is, when you look at it from the right angle, really just a large, weird piece of art that also has a blast shield and an air filter to keep out radiation.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to see the Atomic Museum involved in that as well, of course.
Right?
It's just kind of seems to be a natural. Producer Layla Muhammad and I were invited to go on the Home and History from the Historic Preservation Foundation tour down there, and we had a blast.
No pun intended.
Yeah. Fun fact is that either the current owners or the owners before them were people who were involved in cryogenics, which is, essentially preserving the heads of people after they die or the bodies so that they could be cured sometime after a cure is found and they're essentially unfrozen.
You mean cured from death?
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, or whatever caused their death. And they had a bunch of paraphernalia from cryogenics down there, but they also had like an actual, I think maybe working, or maybe at one point it was working, cryogenic chamber down there in the underground house. It's a trip down there, man. It is an absolute trip.
Oh, man.
I mean, it does say something about the culture of that era and, the stop, drop, hide under your desk in case a nuclear bomb goes off. I mean, it really taps into that. I think it's worth preserving from a historical standpoint.
I think that's why it's so beloved in Las Vegas. Also because it's such a mystery and so few people, at least at one point in time, ever got to go down there. I like that they do tours and they do events and stuff. Okay, so Brent, you gave a very thoughtful, reasoned response to who should take it over. But now I want to ask both of you, who should buy the underground house and what should they do with it? Only wrong answers, my friends. Only wrong answers.
Well, obviously, the right answer, like you said, is a bus tour from like the Atomic Museum there and back.
Yes.
Maybe have a cocktail on the way. The wrong answer, all roads go back to Elon Musk. So this thing is underground. This thing is underground already. Let's just go ahead. We're halfway there. Build a Tesla tunnel that goes right through it. You can step off. You can hang out in the living room for a little while, take a putt on the golfing green, and then get back into your Tesla car and drive off to the convention center.
Fair. I mean, it's already down there.
Or your house by the Virgin Hotels.
Yeah. Brent?
I think we should be looking actually at a different billionaire, and that's Jeff Bezos. I think it's his time to get into the underground stuff business, and we should start using it as an Amazon shipping store and pickup location, because that
like a locker.
Yeah, like an Amazon locker, just like right out in front of the 7-Eleven or the Walmart, but instead in a nuclear bunker.
Wild. Well, our executive producer, Sonia Cho Swanson, suggested that Carrot Top should take it over and just make it into a carrot farm. Just like literally grow carrots underground. Why not?
Oh, and then you would pick them from above.
And then you pick them from above. He would
I love
literally
up and out?
have like tunnel, like the old banker tubes, and he would put the carrot in and it would shoot up, little green part first.
I just like them hanging like a stalagmite. Which one is it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Are we sure it's not being operated at this point by some group of primitive troglodytes? I haven't seen Michelle Fiore in a while. And,
oh my God! Now you're going to court, sir. Perhaps Perez Hilton can defend you.
The Nevada Shield Law is not protecting you from this.
Yeah, you're on your own on this one, Brent.
Oh man, I'll take it. Come for me, Michelle.
Well, fellas, it's absolutely been fun chatting with you about the news this week, and I look forward to talking with you both later. Thanks for joining us on the Friday News Roundup.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you, David.
And before you go, we've got some shout outs from our neighbors. Our neighbors, of course, are our membership program. And one of the many perks, is that you get to do a shout out to your favorite local business or agency organization. Hey, Rob, will you read out some of our recent ones?
I would love to. Let's start with Justin M. Justin loves the Bent Inn and Lounge Bar. He says they're bringing downtown a flavor of modern fun, community, and inclusion as the only LGBT resort in Las Vegas.
Oh, all right.
Paul L. gives big ups to the women-owned startup BRB, which is the first company in Vegas to start a boba vending machine at Harry Reid Airport and the Rio Casino. And I don't think we can get enough boba tea in Vegas, can we?
We cannot. That is truth. And you got one more?
I got one more. Nancy H. has high praise for the trauma intervention program, where she was a volunteer. She says they assist residents of Clark County often on the worst day of their life, when a loved one has experienced a traumatic event, most often a death. The volunteers provide comfort and resources to help them through the grieving process. And I want to back that up. That is a wonderful program. So cheers to them as well.
Yeah, and I love that we have the platform for our listeners who are so connected to the city to be able to do these shout outs. I mean, this is what our membership program is all about. We call it Neighbors because we're all in this together, y'all. So if you want to go and become a neighbor for CityCast Las Vegas, check it out at membership.citycast.fm. That's membership.citycast.fm.
Sign up.
And that's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. Our producers this week were Sonia Cho Swanson, Layla Mohammed, and Lizzie Goldsmith. Our newsletter editor is Rob Coucherese, and our hosts are Sarah Lohman and myself, David Figler. Music is by OG Moose, Epidemic Sound, and All the Kimonos. We record this show on the traditional homelands of the Nuuvi, the Southern Paiute people. If you enjoyed the show, you should go tell a friend. You could also rate our show, the little stars on wherever you're listening to this. We love seeing new stars. Leave us a review, too, and subscribe to our morning newsletter, Hey Las Vegas, that Rob puts together every single weekday. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Till then, stay lucky.